Hello, this is Encounters with Life. I'm Sean Abigail, your host. Can you retire on $1 million? That's a big question. It's a question that gets asked quite frequently among people who are getting into personal finance. And the answer to that question is it depends. It depends on two major factors: how much you're going to spend and how much you're going to earn. I'm going to look at both of these in today's video. First of all, how much are you going to spend in retirement? Do you plan to have, or do you want to have, a luxurious lifestyle, a lifestyle that many would envy? Do you want the finer things of life? Have you worked all of your life so that you would have lots and lots of fancy things? And for some people, that's a goal. And if that's your goal, that's fine. But you have to know how you're going to finance it. Some people will want to maybe have a retirement home. I can tell you that as a Canadian, many Canadians aspire to have a place in the sun, either in Florida or in Arizona, where we go for the winter, because winter in Canada is no fun. So maybe you want a winter home, or maybe you're looking for a place where you can go in the summers, a cottage, somewhere maybe on a lake. You can enjoy the water, you can enjoy the sunsets, you can spend your summers there, minus the spring where all the bugs come out. Or maybe your goal is to travel. I think lots of us want to travel. I know I'd like to travel some more. My family has taken a number of vacations in North America, but as a family, we have never taken a vacation to Europe, for example. And I would love to take my wife to Europe. I would love to see, for example, the British Museum. One of my bucket list items is to spend 3 days wandering around the British Museum looking at things. After all the best stuff in the world got stolen and was sent to the British Museum, so it's all in one place. You can go there and see the best of everything. But I'd also like to visit Greece with my wife. I'd like to visit the Holy Land with my wife and other places. Maybe you would love to travel. And so that is something that you have to include in your spending plans. Are you going to have a very luxurious, very enviable lifestyle in retirement? Or perhaps you say, I've done my traveling. I don't need a Rolex. Happy with my existing house. Put up with winters. Maybe you want a more laid-back lifestyle where you can spend time with the grandkids, or spend time with more conservative types of vacations, tour around in the car and things like that. Maybe that's your goal. And if that's your goal, then you will have to set your spending expectations accordingly. Well, how can you know how much you're going to have in retirement? And thankfully, in the 1990s, someone named William Bengen came up with the 4% rule. So he did some financial analysis and he came up with the 4% rule. And the 4% rule says, in your first year of retirement, take out 4% of your retirement savings. You have 4%, and that's what you can afford to live on. The next year, you also take out 4%, but you adjust that amount upwards for inflation. And the 4% rule says there is no historical period in which you will outlive your money over 30 years. So the 4% rule has sort of become the standard by which many financial analysts judge what you can afford to take out of your retirement savings. It's a very handy tool. And before Mr. Bengen came along, it was, your guess is as good as mine. Now for the details. And sometimes the details are a little bit yucky, but you've got to look at them in order to get the full picture. First of all, this assumes a balanced portfolio of stocks and bonds. The risk profile is different if you are 100% bonds or if you are 100% stocks. Also, and this is really a key, it is good for 30 years. It says there's no 30-year period, historically speaking, that you will outlive your money. But it doesn't say that your money is going to last forever. So if you're planning an early retirement, and if you're a healthy individual, you might need your retirement savings for 40 or 45 years. So that's something else to consider. Also, it is based on history. 50-year period from 1926 to 1976. You know, history might not repeat itself. Just because there is no historical period in which you would outlive your money over 30 years doesn't mean that it won't happen again. So as a result, some say instead of using 4%, you should use 3%. Others will say, no, the 4% was too conservative and you can use 5%. Others, for example, Dave Ramsey says you can, if you're making 10% in your returns for your investments, then you can afford to take out 8% per year. I think that's one point that people who agree with Dave Ramsey 99% of the time, that's the 1% that they disagree with. The idea that you can take out 8%. I understand the math, and I am kind of cautious about contradicting Dave Ramsey in this, but given the choice between 8%, which sounds really, really good, and 4%, which sounds, it's not quite as good, I'm going to build my plans around 4%. And in fact, me personally, I'm a bit more conservative, as you may know, so I'm planning mine, say, around 3.5%. Now, what happens if, instead of 3.5%, what happens if I get more than that? Then I have more to leave to my kids. So, what does it mean to retire on $1 million? This is what we've been talking about. This is sort of the gold standard. Everyone says, do you need $1 million to retire on? Yes, you need $1 million to retire on. $1 million is sort of this number that people have in their heads. Well, what it means is that in the first year, you're going to have $40,000 to live on. Now, you may also get a company pension, or for instance, if you work for the government, you may get a defined benefit pension plan, which is worth quite a bit of money. And so you may not need $1 million when you consider that. You may also have a government pension. In the United States, there's Social Security. In Canada, there's Canadian Pension Plan and Old Age Security, and also Guaranteed Income Supplement. If you're really struggling financially, that's available as well. You may also decide to sell some of your assets. You might decide to downsize your house when you retire and put some of that money into your savings and to live on. There's a lot of different options that could raise your income so that you get more than the $40,000. But using the 4% rule, and with $1 million, you will have $40,000 to live on in that first year. Is $40,000 enough for you? If you want to have a lifestyle with travel, if you want to have a lifestyle with a retirement home in the sun, if you want the good life, eating out regularly and fancy trips and so on, then $1 million is not going to be enough for you. If you want a more conservative lifestyle, if you want to spend time with the grandkids, if you want to enjoy reading, getting together with friends for coffee, and if that's your idea of retirement, then maybe $40,000 is enough for you. Is $40,000 enough? Only you know. What are your thoughts on this? I'd love to hear your comments. I do read every comment and often respond to the comments. I'd love to hear your comments. Also, one other reminder, and that is, if you are getting close to that point where you're thinking about retirement, you really, really need to have a financial advisor. I am not a financial advisor. I'm not advising specific stocks or so on. I'm talking about the math of retirement. So those who have a financial advisor, even if you're not getting close, maybe you've got a start. Having a financial advisor makes a big difference, keeps you from doing a lot of stupid things, keeps you from panicking, keeps you from going for get-rich-quick schemes and so on. It really makes a difference. So that's this episode of Encounters with Life. I thank you for your time. Goodbye. Hey, if you found this content interesting, if you think this channel has potential, please like and subscribe. And also, if the content might be helpful to someone, please share it with them. I hope that you'll help the channel to grow. Thank you. Bye-bye.